So you've started a business and it's going great. It's chugging along smoothly. You're earning a little bit of money. Then all of a sudden you hit a snare in the road and you have to close up shop. Now you've got all these unpaid bills and debts that you've got to find money for. You don't have the money, so you sell your house, your car, you pawn off your wedding ring, and you still have to declare bankruptcy. Now, the silver lining is all you needed to do was choose the right business structure and you could have avoided all of this. Hi, my name is Drew and I'm the founder of getbizzy.co.nz, an online portal for New Zealand businesses to network and grow together. On this channel we upload weekly content around business and using social media in your business, as well as creating a lot of content surrounding New Zealand businesses to help you guys. If these sound like topics that would interest you, then please consider subscribing down there. In this video we're going to be talking about my favourite business structure, and I think the best business structure for you as a New Zealander, and that is limited liability companies, or LLCs. So what then is a limited liability company? Well, firstly let's touch on the limited liability portion. Now I will be going into more depth further on in the video, but for now I'm just going to touch on the fact that basically, if you have certain debts that you've incurred throughout starting the business and throughout running the business, you may need to pay some of those back and you may not. There's certain tax exemptions as well, that if you have incurred a lot of GST or a lot of tax that you've been unable to pay back, assuming you were not reckless when you were accumulating those fees and neglecting to pay them back, you may not have to pay them at all. Now, there's a great quote from the empoweringyourbusiness.co.nz website that I'm going to read out to you, and it really opens your eyes as to the holy shit, like I need to take this seriously just in case, otherwise I'm going to lose my house. I'll show it up on screen, but I'll read it out for you as well. It's a fact that the IRD in New Zealand are rubbish at collecting tax, so much so that many business owners use the IRD as a source of finance. Take a new client of mine in Hawke's Bay, a husband and a wife partnership who now owe $85,000 in GST. Their business is failing, but guess what? As a partnership, they are fully liable personally for all of the GST. If they were a limited liability company, then they could have walked away, bankruptcy, and ruin beckon. For them, choosing the wrong option has cost them $85,000 that they would have never had to pay back if they had just chosen to register as a limited liability company from the outset. This is a trap that a lot of people fall into when they are starting a business and they think, oh, there's two of us, we'll just form a partnership. When in fact you could still form a company and have two directors with equal shares. And the second part is that it's a company. Now it's pretty obvious and I shouldn't really have to explain it, but it's a separate entity. This means that it can own property, it can incur debt and earn money all by itself. This is very valuable when it comes to on-selling. If you're looking to sell a sole trader business, it's very difficult because quite often as a sole trader, the best part of the business is you. And if you're going to leave, then what chance does that business have of succeeding? You've got to bring someone completely new who knows nothing about it, versus with a company that's a separate entity, can be on-sold, and companies are designed to be separate entities. And this means regardless of if you as the founder decide to leave the company, it will continue to exist and do business without you. This makes sourcing financing from investors or banks so much easier because you're seen to be credible in the marketplace. And this can be very crucial when it comes to looking to scale your business at particular milestones down the track, which would be the difference between running a $500,000 per year versus a $10 to $100 million per financial year business. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, $500,000 per year sounds friggin' awesome right now, and to me it does as well. So when it comes to that hard-earned cash, you're wanting to hold on to it, right? Well, as a sole trader, you'd find yourself in the highest personal tax bracket, which is 33% in New Zealand, versus as a company you'll be looking at 28%. And when we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars per year as it may be, then 5% adds up very quickly to be a heck of a lot of money. So when it comes to choosing your business structure in New Zealand, you should definitely consider this as a massive thumbs up for LLCs. Speaking of, if you're enjoying the video, please give it a like, it'd be massively appreciated. Now that we've got through some of the main points that would benefit you, we're going to go into some of the more technical side of things. Now, it's worth bearing in mind that I'm not a professional. I don't do this for a living. If you are seeking professional advice, go and speak to a lawyer or an accountant who specializes in business. They'll be able to point you in the right direction. I'm just doing this because I want to share as much value as I can, and this is stuff that I found insightful and good to know. If you are looking to start a business in New Zealand, then boy do I have the playlist for you. Links to that in the top right hand corner at the moment. All of this information has come from the New Zealand Companies Act 1993, so I slaved my way through that for you. She's a bit of a tough read, you're welcome. As I say, I'm not a lawyer. I'm going to only interpret this as best as I can. However, if you're uncertain about anything or if I make any mistakes, feel free to let me know down in the comments or go speak to someone who knows better. Firstly, I'll be covering off what I think most of you want to know, and that is what your liability is when it comes to owning a company. I'll plaster the image up on screen now. Feel free to have a read through it, and I'll just gloss over the main points and explain them as best as I can. Now, what I want you to focus on here is Section 2A, which states any amount unpaid on a share held by the shareholder. This means that if your company incurs $50,000 worth of debts that it needs to pay back, and you are a 50% stakeholder in the company, i.e. you have 25,000 out of 50,000 shares, you then need to pay $25,000, which is the 50% of that debt. Next we move on to Section 239 ADH, which is administrator liable for general debts. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that director falls under administrator, so this refers to you as a director, you'll be liable for these certain things. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but that is the way I've interpreted this piece of information. Now, basically what you need to understand here is that you will be liable for any debts you incurred for the purpose of funding the company. So if you're borrowing money to fund your company and start it up, you'll be liable for those particular debts. You will also be liable for any services rendered while starting the business, any goods bought or property hired, leased, /occupied. Basically, any of your startup costs, any of the money that you've put into the business when you're starting it, you will be liable for that, which includes loans and things like that. That is why it's not advised to get a massive loan from the bank if you can avoid it, because you still will be liable to pay that back, and the bank will take your house without hesitation. That's the main two sections from the Companies Act that I wanted to share with you. There are certain other areas where you may be liable, and this is when you are acting in bad faith. It's something that comes up a lot in the Companies Act, good faith and bad faith. Basically, acting in good faith means you're acting with the company's best interests at heart. If you are acting in bad faith, it is, in essence, you're acting recklessly and you're doing things that are going to hurt the business and hurt the company in the long run. An example of acting in bad faith could be getting your IOU booklet out and throwing that out to one of your suppliers saying, oh yeah mate, yep, just send me all that stuff and I'll find a way, I'll get the money to you, I promise I'll do it. And you've got no clear plan as to how you're going to sell the product or what you're going to do to gain the revenue, enough revenue to pay back your supplier. So if that was to go to court, then the judge would rule in favour of the supplier and basically say you're personally liable, you have to pay this debt back. So go sell your house, recoup the money any way you can and pay these guys. Now I just touched on another reason why you would be personally liable, and that is if you go out there and give out personal guarantees. So if you're going around saying, yeah mate, yep, I'll get the money back to you on X date, and the company's not aware that you're doing this outside of their guidelines and their guarantees or whatever, then you'll be held personally liable for those actions. Next, we're going to take a look at the director's duties. Now, it's on this slide here that it says you must act in good faith as a director. So I've already touched on that and I won't bother covering that off, but feel free to read through it. Now, something that's not on here is that as a director, you must be a person, which is pretty obvious, but some people think a company can be owned by another company. It cannot. It has to be a physical person who owns that company. You do quite often find people are just the figure of the business. They're not actually the ones that run it. It could be run by a separate business with a person acting on their behalf. You have to be 18 years of age or older in New Zealand anyway. And that pretty much covers off quickly what you need to know about who can actually start a company. I'm not going to bother talking through the rest of this slide. For those of you who want to read through it, pause it right now and have a read before I get rid of it, but basically what it entails is that you must act in good faith, and this gives you outlines as to when you can do certain things. Finally, we're going to jump straight into the next point, and that is section 186, a registered office. A company must always have a registered office in New Zealand. Now, for some of you thinking, oh shit, I was planning on taking my online business, my online company overseas and living somewhere inexpensively while doing business over there, you may still have an option, because there are certain organizations who offer a fixed address for your company as a service, as well as if you've got a family member or anyone living in New Zealand, you may be able to use their address if you butter up to them and have a chat to them. But you need to work the ins and outs of that, and you definitely need to have a chat to a lawyer to see whether or not that's practical and legal, as I'm not 100% sure on that. Now, if you're a one-man or woman company and you're just starting out, or you're not looking to grow at this particular time, then you can use your home address as the address for your company. Just be wary that this will be shown online on the company's register, so if that is sensitive information you do not wish to be out there, then you may have to look at going a different route. I believe there may be certain cases when you can apply for the address to be withheld. However, if you're worried about that, I definitely recommend seeking out professional advice. Whew. Oh, I'm glad that I've read through all of that, and now I know it. Hopefully I won't have to read through it again. It's not a great read, the Companies Act, but if you are unsure and you want to do a bit of research, I'll put a link in the description, so feel free to have a check down there and fact check what I've talked about today. If you disagree with anything I said because you know better, then please let me know in the comments down below. I'd really appreciate it, as it's a learning curve for me. I don't know everything, I'm just doing the best that I can, and this information that I found of value, I just wanted to share with you guys. I hope the video added value in one way or another. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. It'll be a massive help at this early stage of my channel. And remember guys, keep up the hustle, but don't forget to use your head muscle.